The IONIQ 5N is the most expensive, powerful and technologically advanced Hyundai product to date, and it's finally arrived on Australian soil. It shares a bit of its DNA with the Kia EV6 GT, but dials the performance factor up to 11, and perhaps more importantly, the engagement up to about 27. Better suss it out then, hey? The 2024 Hyundai IONIQ 5N has been a long time coming and has a lot riding on its shoulders as the first electrified N car. Intended as the ultimate expression of EV driver engagement, rivals for this angry crossover include the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT, Tesla Model Y Performance, and of course the Kia EV6 GT. But whereas those models pitch themselves as electric GTs and electric muscle cars, the N is all about maximising fun behind the wheel and instead pitches itself as more of an oversized hot hatch. Pricing starts from just over 110 grand, which is admittedly more than its rivals, but it also packs a heap more gadgetry to help make it the better driver's car. As you might imagine, given this menacing body, the IONIQ 5N packs one hell of a punch, with its dual motor powertrain outputting 478 kilowatts and 770 newton meters. 0 to 100 is up in 3.4 seconds, and if you stay in it, you're going to hit 260 k's an hour. Powering the N-Spec drive motors is a bespoke 88 kilowatt hour battery pack wedged between the axles under the floor. Now, if you take all the thermal management and battery conditioning witchcraft out of the equation and just drive the car conservatively, Hyundai reckons you'll get 450 k's out of a full charge. When it's time to plug it back in, a 350 kilowatt DC charger will take the battery from 10 to 80% in a claimed 18 minutes. Jump inside the cabin and it becomes very clear very quickly that this is not just an IONIQ 5 wearing an angry body kit. The usually light colourway is replaced with this dark black and grey arrangement, and you sit in a lovely lightweight N bucket seat in front of an all-new N-Spec steering wheel. Other changes include leather and suede upholstery, new graphics for the dual screens, and a new fixed and padded centre console. Carried over from the standard models, however, is a very accommodating second row and an equally decent boot. It doesn't take too long to realise the IONIQ 5N is not your normal everyday EV. The breadth of capabilities of this thing are just next level. Coming into this launch, I was fully expecting the IONIQ 5N to be harder, more intense, stiffer, more intimidating than the Kia EV6 GT, and it just isn't. I've been blown away by its breadth of capabilities. It's so comfortable for something that's riding on 21-inch wheels and Nürburgring honed suspension. It is truly a comfortable car to drive. Yes, there's a firm edge here or there, but you would expect that. Just pottering around town, it's near on silent, it's comfortable, you can see out of it well. Yes, it's big, it's getting on for, I think, 50 mils wider than a standard car, but it's manageable. You never feel like you're in a Land Cruiser or something even bigger like an F-Truck. These N light bucket seats that I'm sitting in, pinched out of the i30, are comfortable, they're proven, there's no hard edges or funny angles or pressure points. There's good under thigh support, the bolstering is beautiful. The cushions are firm without being too overwhelming. The steering wheel is this perforated leather and it's just lovely to hold. Indeed, if you look beyond all the N paraphernalia in here, the blue stitching and the accents and the unique steering wheel and the center console and what have you, you could almost be tricked into thinking you were just driving a standard IONIQ 5. That's how comfortable and practical and usable this thing really is on the open road. But then when you go to sink the boot in, it's properly fast. This is genuinely intense. This is sort of pin your ears back against the seat fast. Once you get out on the open road and you can truly unleash that performance, that's the IONIQ 5N's trump card. Now, all N cars are designed to be fantastic or the bare minimum usable and fun on the track. Now, this goes beyond that. This is a genuine grand tourer. I didn't think it was possible that the N car would be more comfortable and more composed over rough roads than the EV6 GT, especially given the Kia is actually pitched as the grand tourer of the EMGP family. But here we are. But then from there, with the press of a button, the N just turns into this absolute maniac. You've got the three-way adjustable dampers, three-way adjustable steering, three-way adjustable limited slip differential in the back. You can turn this thing from a sedate long-distance cruiser into a genuine canyon carver. You know, no bit of back road on this thing is safe. We've taken on some fairly technical roads today at this media launch in less than ideal weather, and the IONIQ 5N just was glued to the road. It took all the bumps, we had everything dialed up in sport mode, and it just handled it. You can feel the weight a little bit in camber changes, especially if you're going around the corner and the road drops away. You can feel every bit of that 2.2 tons, but you would expect that. And even then, it feels measured and controlled and contained. And if you really want to enjoy your favorite back road and feel like you're driving an old school sports car or supercar, you can just activate the NE shift function and you get a virtual 8-speed gearbox to play with, accessed via the regenerative braking paddles. So in this case, as we come out of this little section of roadworks, I'll down change it. You get crackles, pops, engine noise. When you change up under power, it gives you a kick in the back. You know it's fake, but it doesn't matter. And the cool thing is, you don't actually need to use the pedals. You can just leave the software to sort it out, and it'll act like an 8-speed dual clutch transmission all by itself. You can hear now it's second gear, third. If I put my foot into it, it's fantastic. It's so unnecessary, but it's there, and I love that. You know it's fake, but you can't help but be entertained by it. And it adds to the joy of driving this thing. But of course, there's always going to be naysayers, and they don't have to use this system if they don't want to. You can just leave it off, in which case it's silent, and even when you floor it, it's still fast and still engaging. It really is, for now at least, the best of both worlds. Purists who don't want to let go of the control and the involvement of driving an internal combustion engine car, they can still have that. But those who want the whole EV drive character and the whole silent assassin style vibe to their car, they can have that as well. So we've established the IONIQ 5N is one hell of a road car, as every N car should be. But how does it go on the racetrack? Is that 2.2 tons going to betray it in the bends, or is it going to help it? There's only one way to find out. So let's hit Sydney Motorsport Park and give it a thrash. So here we are on track with the Hyundai IONIQ 5N. This is exactly where Hyundai wanted to make its first electrified N car stand out. It decided, or it noticed in its words, that there was no truly track-capable EVs on the market. Whether or not the Taycan Turbo S and the other higher-end variants fit into that, I don't know, but certainly in this bottom half of the market, or this echelon of the market, there's nothing that can really go and go and go. So on the road, this feels like a decent-sized, reasonably hefty vehicle, but its mass is very well controlled. You tighten everything up and step out onto the track, and it's largely the same story, you're just going a hell of a lot faster. But if you drive it with a bit of discipline and cleanly, and don't, hoon it around like a yobbo, it's actually happy to work with you. It becomes quite the effective machine. For such a big rig, the brakes do quite a good job of hauling it up. Go a little bit hot into a turn like that, the front wheel starts to run wide, but you gather up with a foot full of power and away she goes. But turn 1 at Sydney is quite the imposing corner, and it's definitely where you feel the weight of this the most. Given it weighs getting on for 2 i20s, it's probably not that surprising. It definitely loads up the outside wheel with a fair bit of intent, a fair bit of weight. But again, like I said, as long as you drive it without being a complete tool, it's happy to work with you. If you want to take things a step further and make the most of the full IONIQ 5N experience, you can engage the NE shift system, easily one of the car's trump cards when it comes to driver engagement. The system actually uses software to alter the torque and power delivery. For instance, you're coming around this corner, you want to get on the gas, but you're in 4th gear. So like it would in an internal combustion vehicle, you don't have maximum power or torque. the power builds as the quote-unquote revs build. Now this, of course, does make the car slower compared to if it's in full N maximum attack doing everything itself, but I think it's a fantastic way for drivers not familiar with an EV or something this powerful to measure their driving, to measure the vehicle's capabilities. This provides you that extra sort of safety net. The chassis really talks to you in this thing. It's really refreshing. I keep going on about it. Of course, you can feel the weight. There's no way around 2.2 tons. But thanks to clever packaging and the low set nature of the battery, the center of gravity is incredibly low. And that's what helps things like the Polestar 2 handle like or even better than a traditional sports sedan. All the weight is down low despite its ride height. There's so much tech in this thing. There's various settings for the battery conditioning, the thermal management. You can even tell the powertrain what sort of track work you're about to do, short, sharp, rally sprint style, or you're going to do 2 laps of the Nürburgring. It's all adjustable. And whilst you'd never use that on the road, in fact we're not even using it right now on the track, it's nice to know it's there. It shows that Hyundai are thinking about the scope of this car. It could be used for anything. This would make quite the handy sprint weapon, I think. If somehow you get bored with the standard torque split, you can always delve into the N-Torque distribution system and tailor the powertrain anywhere from full front drive to full rear drive in 10% increments. The default setting sees things set at 50-50 front to rear, which offers drivers a similar experience to that of a modern Subaru. Very safe, very secure, very grippy, if a bit bland. Dial up full front or full rear wheel drive, however, and things get a bit more interesting, with the IONIQ 5N doing a great impression of an i30N DCT when set to front drive and with the N E-Shift system in play. Fans of big, old school performance cars, meantime, will revel in the exuberance and shenanigans of the full rear drive setup, seeing as the IONIQ 5 will hang its tail out and smoke its tyres all day long. The fantastic thing about having all these settings is that it means the IONIQ 5N caters to as broad a spectrum of the market as possible. The hot hatch fans, the all-wheel drive rally icons, the rear drive sports cars and performance sedans, they're all going to find something they like here. And Hyundai should frankly be applauded for having the guts to have a go at this. And while of course this is $111,000, which for most people is quite a lot of money, all this hardware is going to trickle down. It won't be too long before there's an i20N, i30N successor packing more than half of this hardware. Now, Hyundai sort of aimed for the top and they're going to work their way down now. If you're in the market for a big, fast EV these days, there are so many options, it's not even funny. But this side of 200 grand, what is there that can really compete with this? Yes, the EV6 is on par with its performance and it shares a platform, but it's not as involving to drive. It's firmer on the road. It's a fantastic car, but is it as good as this? I don't think it is. Surprisingly, the outright sports car is the better all-rounder. So does the IONIQ 5N live up to its pre-launch hype? Well, yeah, it does, because it's easily the most engaging EV to drive on the market. No, it's not perfect, and yes, there are faster options available, but none of them really egg you on to get involved in the drive like this does. Purists will probably still scoff and call this car a gimmick, but those who understand what it's about will be very happy indeed. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments. What do you think of the IONIQ 5N?